Yeah. So yeah, welcome everyone. Today we're going to do I was just telling Vivek, like it's one of my favorite practices. We're gonna walk through the universe with our sneakers, which is a direct title of a book from Deborah Hay. We'll be posting some content on her on Slack afterwards. But she's been mentioned already in KB5 and KB6. Marlon and I have worked with her, and she basically created this idea of choreography as, as something that comes out of subjectiveness, and it comes from, instructions. And she believes in this sort of like merging between, instructions and free movement and intention. So I think we're going to train intention very much. I, as I said, for the fun of it, let's get some sneakers or some boots. They're also fine. And we can keep the camera off. We can keep the camera on. I'll really leave that up to you. I'll keep my camera on. And I'm basically just going to instruct you with, so I'm going to be moving, but as usual, as I say a lot of times, like this is just my interpretation. So what is important is that you are open to the idea of, movement and of not necessarily telling a story, but rather living a story. So first thing that I want you to do, I'll give you a minute maybe to just grab some shoes, drink some water. And we're going to be moving for most of the class. So then trying to kind of think of, dance practice as like a continuous flow of energy, intention. So the first thing we're going to do is just with different part of the bodies, we're going to just sense the space around us, different diagonals that we can do, like our hands, maybe just with our wrists, with our shoulders, how many different diagonals you can go. And you just, at the same time that you do this, just remember to move your head and look at what's around you. And really, when I say look, maybe look is not the right word, but we're really talking about seeing. So see the space around you. See the relation that it has to you. And feel free to keep on searching the diagonal. Take the space you walk in and move your head. If you don't know what to do, just move your head and let what you find influence the rest of your body. Let's talk about this walking, and maybe we start introducing as we walk this idea of not just walking, but prancing. So I think you know this video of the prancing lady. So keep prancing in the space, moving your head. We're not busy with signifying anything, but we're also not busy denying that maybe a movement or a moment has meaning. Keep breathing. And once you feel stuck, just move your head. Keep moving your head. Think about walking rather arriving somewhere that you do not know. And prance. Notice the space around you. Notice yourself outside yourself around you. The prancing somehow becomes something a little bit more different. And create this different steps, like a creature, like a mammal, maybe. But don't stay yet in the form that you create. As soon as you feel it become a certain shape or form of repetition, let it continue. Let the movement continue. And move your head. Keep breathing. I think of a very interesting thing about metrics that I've read is that we have this idea of metrics on what metrics and scales like numbers and words feel are what their sole purpose is to create a sort of like human understanding of what is feasible for us to understand. But if you, for example, have a video of a car, you have a car passing by, and you accelerate that video infinitely, the car will sort of disappear. Which leads me to believe that the only feasible and actual real measurement that we have is time. So as you're moving through the diagonals of your body, as you're prancing like a different sort of animal, notice time and space. Everything that we do and every movement that we do is related to time and space around you. Is time the enemy? Is time the lover? Notice time. Keep moving your head. Move your head through time and space. Time is the only metric that actually verifies our existence. Return to a moment. Be in the present. Return to the moment. Be in the present. Be in the space. Since we are talking about understanding and pathways, let's think about our neurons. So it is said that there are over 150 billions of neurons, maybe even more than that. I can't remember the number, but it's one of these gigantic, bigger than life numbers. Amount of neurons in our brain. So in truthfulness, or in a scale matter, there is more neurons in our brain than that there are stars in the universe. Each neuron stores an information, a skill, a memory, a feeling, a moment, an intention, an emotion. And as we use dance in our body to navigate through our body and our brain and all the knowledge inside, we truly are going through the universe with our sneakers. Move your fucking head through the space. The fucking in this instruction comes with the urgency. It's through time and space that we keep ourselves out of loops, and we truly keep the awakeness that we need to understand as we are walking through the universe with our sneakers. Be in the time and space of now. Move your head. Find the diagonals. Walk through the galaxy. As you feel the warmness that spreads through your body through movement, we start to realize how emotions and feelings and intentions become more permeable to us, to our power. We are still not busy with creating. We are just surfing through time and space with our bodies. Move your head. If you do not understand what you are doing, make it make sense. Make it make sense whilst you move your head. Time is the only metrics. Move your head. And up until now, we have been busy with ourselves and with the universe around us and inside of us. But at the same time, we have each other, right? So we are four human beings in four very different places in the world, and we are dancing together. So look at the screen, look at each other. Even though we all look different, even though we don't have, we are all in it together. We are in a space together. So we relate to each other. How do we relate? I don't know. Stay in the not knowing, stay in the relation. And now go back to yourself. Disconnect. Move your head. Time is the only metrics. Come back in the unity of the monitor. To this quartet that's happening. And I will introduce you. Keep moving, keep exploring, keep dancing through space. Maybe you need to rest in the movement. So rather than the movement taking effort, it takes energy from the space so that you can have energy for later. Sleeping is nothing more than actual movement, allowing for certain functions to stop so that regenerative functions can enter. Let's imagine that dance is sleeping. Movement is resting. Rest. Rest and move. The time and space, move your head and rest. Rest. Rest through time. Make your breath into the expansion of the universe. What if every in-breath is the creation of a star and every out-breath is the implosion of a star? Breathe through your mouth. In through the mouth, out through the mouth. Let yawning happen. Really. We've talked about yawning in these classes before in another context. Allow your yawn to be loud. But keep moving. We're yawning our way through the galaxy with our sneakers whilst we move our head in space and time. Allow resting to take you to places that you didn't think that you would go to. When you rest, it's almost like you let the resting and the unconscious take hold of your intention. Whilst your focus is just regenerating. Do what feels right. There's nowhere to go. There's no story to be told. There's no way nowhere to be. There's just time passing by. Ooh. Ooh. Let's slowly yet surely walk and arrive to a standstill. Let's take our time getting there, but let's arrive to this state of a dynamic statue. So imagine that statue would be actually like, a flower, It's a statue, but it's not heavy. So even though the flower doesn't move, it gets moved by the wind, right? And some of the flowers, they even follow the sun. They keep moving their head. And inside of the flower, that's where all the movement is happening, right? That's where, the cells are bringing things. Photosynthesis is happening. Like nutrients are coming from the ground. So let's just find this place, this living statue of nature, this flower. Take your time. Take the time, as time is the only thing that can take. Be in your body. Keep moving. Let it happen. The wind sway. Let your knees move. Let your hands move. And let's focus on our sternum, on our heart center. Put your hands there. Touch it. Depends on each person, but in my case, my sternum, which is right under my chest, has a little cavity that I can kind of put my finger there. I don't know how yours is. I don't need to know. Feel it with your hands. And now let's try for the first time in the state of openness and relaxation to imagine something and make it real in time and space, in our perception. And let's go to a very easy thing to imagine, which is a cord. Let's imagine that we have a cord. This cord is connected to our heart center, to our sternum, and we are all connected to it. And this cord connects us together. Lengthen the cord. Make that cord really, really long in space. Wherever is the center of that cord, move in relationship to it. Let's say maybe for agreement that the cord is the screen. All the cords are attached to the screen, right? So then we all know we have the same point. See how you can bend the cord with your body. Explore this cord. This cord is also a tube. Maybe this cord is even like an organ of your body, a new organ. This cord definitely connects us together. Play with the cord. See how the cord affects you as you move and affects others. Keep moving your head, traveling. See the cord. Extend even longer. What if the cord is really tight against the screen and it doesn't let you move, but maybe it's really, 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 really long. So you're moving freely and there's still a little bit of the cord on the floor, you know? How long is the cord? Cord comes from your sternum. Keep sending intention through your sternum, through the cord. And now let's come to a point in which the cord is as small as a fishing thread and is as tight as a violin cord, you know, attached. You feel it pulling and stretching. Hold the cord, pull the cord, pull the cord, and we hold it so tight that the cord breaks. Break the cord. Break the connection, break the cord. Slash the cord. Break the cord. Connect the cord again. Make it tight. Make it tight. Really, really tight. Like the cord of a violin or of a guitar. Connect it. And break. Walk through the unknown with your movement. Be in the moment, walking through space and time. You're not anymore busy with making decisions, but rather to let decisions happen in space and time by just keeping our awareness and practicing our intention and deciding to make it into a very fast movement or slow, changing intentions, not fixing, not meaning. If society tells us how we move and that if every movement has a meaning already, if we just accept that, then we're never really going to be able to experience a movement that is unnecessary, that doesn't mean anything. The same way that consciousness is just existing. Dancing is just a way to connecting to consciousness. Be in time and space. There is a vastness in the universe that is unreachable for our understanding. Rather than trying to understand it, let's feel it simply by being it, being in it, no matter how insignificant and small we think we are. We already contain all of the totality of the universe inside of us. Be in space and time. Move your head and slowly yet surely find the end. Let the end of your movement come to you. Come back. Let it all fade out. Let it stop. All right, cool. Let's just maybe let's take a few minutes to come back and gather some thoughts. And come back in 3 minutes. We can do toilets and everything, and then we still have 10 minutes to talk a little bit. Hey everyone, how are you? Um, Let me know if you prefer to have the discussion without being recorded or if you're fine with it being recorded. I think for me, it's good to have a discussion. Dunya left. I can't believe she had the neighbors come and, and say hello to her while she's breaking the cord. I just wanted to ask you first, how do you feel right now? And yeah, maybe how do you feel right now, Victor?
Now I feel like more light with all the moving and with all the the whole body like is powered out, and I feel like it's more like a reset, like everything is like more and feel more in peace.
That's great. That's really good. That's how is it for you, Vivek?
I
How's the mindset as well?
yeah, I agree with Victor. I had a period at the beginning. It was surprising you brought up yawning because I was like not I'm sleeping quite well. And so I don't think that I'm tired, but for whatever reason at the beginning, I had like many yawns, maybe like
Mm,
10 or 11, and it was moving. And that was
That
something that
that sounds
brought
yummy.
beautiful. Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
it brought a lot of peace and like Victor says in that regard. But I think I was helped by Reina's reminder that yawning is good. Because sometimes I feel like, well, why am I yawning so much? Where did it come from? But that period kind of ended. And then my headspace, my mind space felt clearer. And then I could like move at the different paces. I felt like I had access to all of the spaces after all of the yawns had gotten out of the body, which is interesting.
Yeah. And I think that is because like this practice is very much, Deborah Hay was a very big acid head in the 60s. So a lot of this exploration, these feelings come from like her experiences with psychedelics, but also with this idea of being, when we think of performativity, like why do some people, like some people can be on stage and just like move their hand and we're instantly drawn emotionally to it. So how she tried to incorporate this awareness and this idea of consciousness, which I think it's something that we speak a lot in Kernel. We try to be, you know, as we have this technology that brings us together. How can we be conscious of what these ties do? So I think this practice that Deborah developed keeps you in the space whilst neglecting more and more our constant need for narrative and understanding, thus allowing the body and to act out of norms of what is movement, what we perceive to be movement, like how to not question what we feel like doing or what we are curious, and how to navigate and be present during during this thing. And I like very much, I've been actually, I like TikTok a lot, maybe even more than what I should, because I spend a lot of time in it. But I saw this thing that I like very much. There was someone saying that like, remember that like laziness doesn't exactly exist. Like when you feel like that you're being lazy, just remember yourself like laziness is a concept that was constructed around this idea of making people feel guilty about not doing forced labor. So if we're tired, if we feel tired, it's not because we're lazy, it's just because maybe our bodies are asking for something, and sometimes by moving it we can see what it is, like
Yeah. This balance, and Victor, go ahead. The struggle and serenity, they've come up a lot
Yeah.
in this module because some laziness is good, but it did feel like getting those yawns out and allowing for them, giving them space, but then moving more vigorously, like both were important. But Victor, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Just want to say, I think like sometimes we feel like we have to do a lot of things, and sometimes we forget that like both our body and our mind has a limit. We cannot be everywhere doing everything and can be anything, because like we all have our limits. We are just human beings, and sometimes we underestimate what we are capable. But sometimes with moving, sometimes you forget like what your body is capable at the same time.
Yeah, but what I mean, like with this thing of like laziness isn't real, is that I think, and I grew up with this idea of like believing that feeling lazy is a biological condition. You know, I which is like, oh, I feel lazy, which already says like my body is tired and it shouldn't be. But I'm like, but it is tired, you know? Why shouldn't it be tired? We have to do a lot. So it's not a biological thing. It's like if you are tired or you're not lazy, you just have to, but you can access your body, the places that you're tired. And that's what like where movement can be interesting is, almost like a therapeutic way. And I think that this is very much what we've been trying to do because, like we are not, there's no there's no need here, there's no competition, there's no company hiring us, you know to dance. So we're literally just doing this because we like to. And then this allows for for us to find ourselves in places and like states that we surprise ourselves with, which I think, for example, that's something that with Vivek comes more and more often to you, is that you come in a way to the class, but then throughout doing it, you surprise yourself, which is really interesting and it's very nice. Welcome back, Dunya.
Hi, I went on an adventure. I was listening to you. I did the exercise, I promise.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. How did it feel for you? We were just exchanging some ideas on laziness and yawning and moving.
It was a lot of, yeah, it was really interesting. Well, first of all, I really felt the chord. Like I really felt like I was connecting. And also when I had the camera off, I was like, no, I want to see Victor and I want to see Vivek. So I turned it on. I turned around and they turned it on too. So I really feel like it's really nice how we do influence each other and we have so much power in actually the spaces that we create and how we show up.
And also like, I feel like this block, you know, we've been like, you've been coming to the classes. So I feel very happy and like satisfied that we start to feel comfortable, because I do know that like sometimes it's not like not being seen that allows us to feel more comfortable. But I feel like with you, like we're like, no, actually let's look at each other because we are sharing something, you know, and we are not competing, which is really good as well, you know what I mean? Like we are we allow ourselves to be present in the moment even though we're not. And then we create I think like there's also this idea of fiction, you know, and magic and fantasy, you know, that, you know, we're in which like our mind can bend reality and, you know, we can believe on something together. Like there's a chord, so there is a chord and you feel it, and the way you move the chord, it influences me because it's I'm also part of the chord. So
and then I showed up in my reality. So I talked with the neighbors. The dog, poor dog, has been stuck here. So we went for running, and it was just a lot of fun also to be able to be like, to give myself permission to do whatever I want, and to also be like, oh no, but wait, I have 4 minutes, I'm gonna come back, and then I have to go in 1 minute because I have a call. But all that to say, it's interesting because I actually have no problem being myself, but I just don't want to take too much space. That's the thing. So like it's not because it feels safe. So I think this is a whole conversation, but how to engage people is really important. And so this is interesting to reflect also with the chord. I really felt like we were connected. So thank you. And now I didn't get to hear Victor, and I didn't hear to hear Vivek, and I really wanted to. And that's smile, Victor.
What? Stop smiling.
The recording is gonna be online tonight probably. So
great.
you can hear.
Bye, Dunya. Bye.
Bye, Dunya. Cool. It's 7 now. I don't know if anyone would like to say anything. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, I think we've touched in a lot of good subjects, and I do think yeah, that it's been really great. And I think that we're getting to a point that I think that, you know, some of this, if we do practice more somatically, it will be very good to have a conversation about it, which is something we can think about, Vivek.
Sure.
You know, like a practice and lecture vibe.
Sure.
Because I think that makes a lot of sense, because as we practice, we are gaining language in dance and in like subjective performative, as you know, Jodorowsky says, psychomagic, performative psychomagic, which is the whole concept of like the Holy Mountain and other movies that he made, that, you know, the movie is made as a performance, that by doing the certain things on camera, it has a magical effect, and we believe in that. So it is real.
If you could share about that in the channel, I want to read more about this Holy Mountain.
Yeah. I'll send you. All right. Cool. Thank